Hey everyone, it's Sarah and welcome to my crochet channel. Now today's video I'm going to show you how to crochet the Whispering Pines scarf. And what I did is I took some yarn with me called Sweet Roll up into the Colorado mountains when my family went on a four-wheel driving trip. And I designed this scarf with the pine trees in mind. We have pinyon pine, blue spruce, ponderosa pine, and many other pine trees. I can almost smell the smell of those wonderful pine trees now. Well, anyway, the reason I called it the Whispering Pines scarf, as you can see that there are some shapes that look like pine trees worked into the scarf. It makes a coolish scarf that's not too heavy, but if it is colder, you can squish it up and wrap it around your neck. Now it measures about 7 inches across and it's about 62 inches long. You can always make it longer or shorter depending on the length of scarf that you want. Now if you want to make it wider, you can do the multiples, and you can find the multiples and measurements and stitch counts and all the pattern on my blog, and I'll put that blog link down in the notes underneath this video. To make the Whispering Pines scarf, you're going to need 7 ounces or more if you want to make it longer or wider of a medium weight number 4 yarn. And I chose acrylic for this one because that's what I took with me, and it's Sweet Roll by Premier Yarns, and the name of the yarn is called Wasabi Pop. And it's a beautiful variegated, it goes from like almost a grayish green to medium green, bright greens, deep greens, and it reminds me so much, like I said, of the beautiful pine trees in the Rocky Mountains here in Colorado. And you need about 7 ounces. Now you don't have to do this in these colors. Remember, use your imagination and use whatever colors that you want to. And if you don't have a variegated and you want a variegated, just grab some different colors of greens and put them together. You just need 7 ounces of a medium weight number 4 yarn. We're going to be stitching today with our eye hook, which is a 5.5 millimeter crochet hook. You need a needle just for weaving in ends and a pair of scissors. All right, let's get started. We're going to begin with our slip knot, and we're going to chain 25 chains. I do recommend that you stitch this initial chain a little bit loose so you don't have any pucker on the end of your scarf. So I'm going to chain 25 chains. I've chained my 25 chains just a little bit loose, not loopy. You don't want your stitches of your chain drooping, but we just don't want the end of our scarf, because it is a scarf, to have a puckered end to it. All right, so we're going to yarn over and we're going to double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook. 1, 2, 3, 4. Go in, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2 loops, yarn over and go through the second 2 loops. And now we're going to double crochet in each of those chains across. One double crochet in each of the chains working across our chain. I've stitched 1 double crochet in each of the chains across, and this is where you can look and see if it's curving just a little. You may have made your initial chain a little too tight, and you want to make sure you correct that now before you get going on your scarf. You'll have 23 double crochets. The chain 3 here, because we started in the 4th chain from the hook, counts as our first, and then so we have 23, counting that chain 3, 23 double crochets. We're going to chain 3, and our chain 3 here and on every row counts as our first double crochet. So we're not going to double crochet in this first stitch, we're going to double crochet in the next stitch. So we'll have 2 double crochets right there at the beginning. We're going to chain 1. We're going to skip this next double crochet and stitch 1 double crochet in the next 8 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now let me make sure I only did 8. Here's our chain 1, skip 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have 8 double crochets. We're going to chain 1, and we're going to skip the next one and stitch 1 double crochet in the next 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. We're going to chain 1, skip 1, and then place 1 double crochet in the last 2 stitches. And then here's our chain 3 where we started, and that's our last stitch on that row. And we're going to go ahead and chain 3. All right, let's take a look at it. 2 double crochets, chain 1, skip 1, 8 double crochets. Chain 1, skip 1, 8 double crochets, chain 1, skip 1, and 2 double crochets at the end. And that's the way that row 2 should look. All right, let's do row 3. We chained 3 and we're going to turn. We're going to place a double crochet in that next double crochet, and you're going to have 2 double crochets at the beginning and end of each row. We're going to chain 2. We're going to skip that chain in the next stitch and stitch 1 double crochet in the next 6 double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We went from 8 to 6. Now we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. We'll skip this double crochet. We'll skip the chain 1 and the next double crochet and go in the next. All right, and then we'll stitch 5 more so that we have 6 double crochets. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We'll chain 2, skip this double crochet and this chain 1, and 1 double crochet in the last 2. We'll go ahead and chain 3. And again, we're going to take a look at it. So we have 2 double crochets, chain 2, we skipped the chain 1 and the first double crochet and stitched 6 double crochets. Chain 3, we skipped a double crochet, the chain 1 space, and a double crochet, and then stitched 6 double crochets. Chain 2, skipped the double crochet and the chain 1, and then 2 double crochets, 1 in each of the last 2. And that's row 3. All right, let's do row 4. We've chained 3 and we're going to turn. We're going to stitch the double crochet in that next double crochet, and we're going to chain 3. We're going to skip the 2 chains and the first double crochet and stitch in the next, and we're going to stitch 4 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now we're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to skip the next double crochet, the chain 3, and the next double crochet here, and stitch 4 double crochets, 1 in each of the next 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right. Now we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. We'll skip the double crochet and the chain 2 and stitch 1 double crochet in those last 2 stitches. There we go. And chain 3. All right, let's look at row 4. 2 double crochets, chain 3. We have 4 double crochets, chain 5, 4 double crochets, chain 3, and then the 2 double crochets at the end and chain 3. And you can already see the way this is looking like our first pine tree. We stitch that chain 3 and we're going to turn. All right, now this is row 5. We're going to stitch a double crochet in that double crochet because remember our chain 3 always counts, whoops, as our first double crochet on the end of our row. All right, so now we're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're going to skip those 3 chains in that next double crochet and stitch 1 double crochet in the next 2. 1 and 2. And now we're going to chain 7 chains. We're going to skip those 5. We'll skip the double crochet here and the double crochet here and stitch 1 double crochet in the next 2. 1 and 2. We'll chain 4. And then we'll put 1 double crochet in the last 2 double crochets. 1 and 2. And chain 3. All right, let's look at it again. Two double crochets, chain 4. 2 double crochets, chain 7. 2 double crochets, chain 4, and 2 double crochets. All right, row 6. Now row 6, we're going to do a solid row of double crochets. So again, our chain 3 counts as our first. We're going to double crochet in the next. We're going to stitch 4 double crochets in this chain 4 space. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll stitch 1 double crochet in these 2 double crochets. 1 and 2. There we go. And that brings us to the chain 7 space. So we're going to stitch 7 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, oops, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And I'm going to look again and make sure I only put 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. We don't want to add extra stitches here or it'll mess up our pattern. Alright, so 1 double crochet in the next 2 double crochets. That brings us to our next chain 4 space, and we'll stitch 4 double crochets in that chain 4 space. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then 1 in the last 2 double crochets. 1 and 2. And we'll go ahead and chain 3. All right, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23 double crochets. So we have 23 double crochets, and you need to make sure that when you do your repeats, that on this 6th row of your repeats, and this row of course, that you have 23 double crochets. If you accidentally add one or subtract one, it's going to mess up our pattern that looks like our pine trees. All right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to repeat row 2 through row 6 20 more times. This solid row is the same as the beginning solid row. And so you'll repeat row 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 20 more times. That's going to get you a scarf that's about 62 inches long. And you can measure as you go to make sure the scarf is as long or as short as you would like it. So just to repeat, we are going to repeat rows 2 through 6 20 more times. Once your scarf is as long as you would like it, and you can clearly see those pine trees. Isn't that pretty? All right, so once it's as long as you would like it, you ended on that row 6 of a solid row of double crochet. What we're going to do is just finish off with another row of double crochet. So here's my last row of double crochet that I did working in my spaces. Chain 3, and we're just going to stitch 1 double crochet in each of those stitches across, and that just gives us a nice edge to the bottom of our scarf. One double crochet in each of those double crochets across. And see how that will make it lay nice and pretty. And then it'll also look like this end where we started with 1 row of double crochet and then began our repeats. So just to finish off our scarf, we're stitching 1 double crochet in each of those double crochets across. I have stitched 1 double crochet in each of those 23 stitches across. I'm going to cut my yarn and tie off. Grab my needle, and the only ends we have to weave in is the beginning and the end, and probably also where you joined in your second cake or skein of yarns, or if you changed colors to get the colors that you wanted. Now, I really like the Wasabi Pop yarn for this project, the Premier Cake yarn. Let's see, it's called Sweet Roll, which I like that name. And like I said, if you don't have a sweet roll or a variegated in green, you can always join different colors together. And you know what? You don't have to make this in green. You can use any colors that you want. So here is our Whispering Pines scarf. And although it looks a little bit complicated, it's really not. Once you learn those 6 rows of repeat, you can make this scarf as long as you want to, and it's absolutely gorgeous. It's a wonderful gift as well.